Lightning cracked the sky over Willow Creek, illuminating the quiet suburb in stark whites and grays. From my front porch, I watched a black Lexus screech to a stop in front of my house, its headlights pinning me like spotlight. The driver's door swung open, and out stepped Victoria Langston, the Homeowners Association president, her face twisted with rage. Her boots hit the pavement with purpose, each step a warning shot. "Daniel Pierce," she shouted, jabbing a finger at my roof. "What are those eyesores?" My gaze followed her point to the solar panels, their sleek surfaces catching the storm's flicker. Before I could respond, she was halfway up my driveway, her voice slicing through the humid air. "You think you can ruin this neighborhood's charm and walk away? I'll have those things gone by tomorrow. I'm Daniel Pierce, and I'd called Willow Creek home for 3 years, a manicured enclave of tidy lawns, identical mailboxes, and rules that clung like damp clothes. Victoria ran the HOA like a personal fiefdom, her word law, her smile a veiled threat. I kept my nose clean, followed her guidelines, even painted my front door the approved heritage indigo. But those solar panels were my line in the Sonda year-long plan for cheaper bills and a lighter footprint, executed with every permit and approval in place. Yet here was Victoria, acting like I'd torched the community charter. I leaned against the porch rail, keeping my voice even. "Victoria, I've got written approval from the architectural committee. These are midnight slate panels, exactly as submitted." I motioned toward the house. "Want to see the paperwork?" Her eyes flashed, but she followed me inside, her presence sharp as ozone. I handed her the document signed, dated unambiguous. She skimmed them, then shoved them back at me. "This is a mistake," she snapped. "Those panels are too glossy. They're throwing glare across the street, disrupting the aesthetic. Take them down, or I'll make you wish you had." I couldn't help a dry chuckle. You don't get to rewrite the rules after the fact. The approval stands. Her lips thinned, and for a moment, I saw something raw in her stare, not just anger, but a need to win. She stormed out without a word, her car peeling away into the night. I should have known Victoria Langston didn't lose gracefully. Willow Creek was my fresh start after a messy divorce and a string of apartments that never felt like home. The neighborhood promised stability. Neat houses, friendly nods, a place to rebuild. When I moved in, Victoria had greeted me with a bottle of wine and a binder labeled Willow Creek Standards. The wine was cheap, the binder a 70-page labyrinth of regulation shrub heights, fence materials, even the correct shade of holiday lights. "Just a few rules to keep things harmonious," she'd said, her smile tight. I nodded, shelved the binder, and figured I could stay in VY Cybele. For 3 years, I did until the solar panels. The idea came after a summer of brutal electric bills. Solar was practical, cost-effective, eco-friendly, a small stake in something bigger. I spent months planning, researching models, securing city permits, submitting forms to the HOA. The architectural committee approved my midnight slate panels unanimously, and I hired a contractor with glowing VYUs. Installation day felt like a VY Tory. The panels blended perfectly with my roof, clean and modern. I'd stood in my yard, hands on hips, thinking I'd finally done something right. Then Victoria's Lexus rolled up, and the fight began. The next morning, an HOA notice appeared in my mailbox, accusing me of unapproved exterior modifications and demanding the panel's removal within 48 hours or face DULA 100 daily fines. My jaw tightened as I read it. This wasn't a mix-up. It was a power play. I called the committee's head, Ellen, a librarian with a knack for staying neutral. "Daniel, your approval was airtight," she said, sounding rattled. "I don't understand why Victoria's pushing this. I'll talk to her." I thanked her, but unease settled in my gut. Victoria didn't make mistakes, she made moves. That evening, I noticed neighbors lingering near my fence, eyeing the panels with murmured curiosity. Among them was Nate, a software engineer and the HOA's treasurer. He waved me over, his face uneasy. "Heads up, Daniel. Victoria called an emergency board meeting today and pushed through a new bylaw. Solar panels need her personal sign-off, effective immediately." It's aimed at you. I stared at him. She can't retroactively void my approval. That's illegal. Nate shrugged. Maybe, but she's got the board in her pocket. Watch yourself, she plays dirty. The notices piled up, each one sharper, the fines climbing to due law 500 by week's end. I hired a lawyer, Rachel Kim, who met me at a coffee shop and pored over my documents with a predator's focus. You're golden, she said, tapping the approval letter. State law protects solar installs, and Victoria's new rule doesn't hold water retroactively. She's bluffing her desperate. Rachel sent a cease and desist letter to the HOA, citing statutes and demanding the fines be dropped. I expected it to end there. I was wrong. It was a Thursday, 10 days after the first notice, when I pulled into my driveway to find my house dark. The street hummed with light porch lamps, window glows, but my place was a black void. A power outage, I thought, until I saw Nate's TV flickering across the way. I called the utility company, and soon a technician, Javi was at my meter box, his flashlight darting over the wires. His expression hardened. Someone's messed with this, he said. They cut the main line deliberate, outside the lock. This could have sparked a fire. My pulse quickened. Who'd do that? Javi glanced at me. You got cameras? I'm reporting this to the cops and our security team. I'd install the security system after the second, notice discrete lenses covering my yard. While Javi worked, I checked the footage on my laptop. My breath caught as the screen showed Victoria in her signature trench coat on my meter box that afternoon. She looked around, then used a tool to open the panel, her movements quick and practiced. Less than a minute later, she walked away, dusting her hands. The ease of it unnerved Mesh wasn't just angry. She was calculated. The police arrived within the hour. Officer Torres, a wiry woman with sharp eyes, watched the footage, her pen pausing mid-note. This is tampering with utilities, a crime, potentially felony level if harm was intended. Anyone here need power for medical reasons? I nodded slowly. My cousin Mia is staying with me. She's got epilepsy, uses a monitor at night. A blackout could miss a seizure. Torres's mouth tightened. That's endangerment. You pressing charges? I didn't blink. Absolutely. Power was back by midnight, but I lay awake, Victoria's face on that footage looping in my mind. This wasn't about aesthetics, it was her ego against my defiance, and she'd escalated to a place I couldn't ignore. The next morning, I was sipping coffee when sirens wailed. From my kitchen window, I saw police cruisers at Victoria's house, their lights pulsing. Neighbors peered from lawns as she opened her door, her posture defiant. She gestured wildly, pointing my way, but the officers stood firm. Then they escorted her to a cruiser not cuffed, but clearly not free. The street went still, the air heavy with shock. By noon, my phone buzzed with text, neighbors offering support, others digging for details. Nate dropped by with a sandwich and news. Victoria is charged with tampering and endangerment. The board's meeting tonight to boot her and get Fish a director at an energy firm. This kind of stunt could tank her career. I shook my head. All because of some panels? Nate snorted. It was never the panels, Daniel. It was control. The HOA meeting packed the community center, a squat building usually hosting book clubs. Victoria was absent, her lawyers at VYC, someone muttered. The interim president, a retired principal named Margaret, opened with steel. We're here to address a betrayal of trust. Neighbors spoke up, their stories painting a pattern. Victoria's fines for tri-VY, al-violations, rules twisted to settle scores. A dad named Amir shared how she'd blocked his kid's treehouse, calling it structurally unsound. Ellen admitted the board had been too scared to challenge her. My turn came, and I kept it tight. I followed every rule. Victoria didn't just disagree, she cut my power, knowing my cousin's health was at risk. That's not leadership. The vote was unanimous. Victoria was out, the fines voided, my legal costs covered. I thought it was over. Then, 2 nights later, a text lit my phone from an unknown number. You'll regret humiliating me. This isn't done. Victoria's venom, and signed but unmistakable. I sent it to Rachel, who added it to the file. She's burying herself, Rachel said. Let her try. For days later, I was working from home when an engine growled outside. Victoria's Lexus idled in her driveway, a for sale sign fresh in her yard. She loaded boxes in her trunk, her movements jerky. Our eyes locked across the street, she unraveling, me still standing. I lifted my coffee mug, a quiet salute. Her face crumpled, and she slammed her car door, the sound sharp in the morning air. She drove off, the realtor's sign glinting behind her. Willow Creek exhaled in the weeks that followed. Margaret stayed on as president, slashing the rulebook to 15 pages of basics. Neighbors loosened up. Amir's kids got their treehouse. Ellen planted unapproved tulips. My panels hummed along, powering my home and something else, a sense that fighting back could shift more than just one street. Victoria's house sold quickly, and the new owners waved when they moved in. I waved back, the storm long gone, the sky clear. If you were the one in this story, how would you react? Would you stand up and fight back, or accept the unreasonable pressure and control from the HOA? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with more people. Your small action gives us the motivation to keep bringing you more intense and engaging stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.